Let's draw a peaceful landscape with a forest reflecting in the lake. I start by plotting out the positions of the basic features using a cloth dipped in graphite powder. As this draws lightly and has no hard edges, it allows me to reposition and move the features around until I am happy with their placement. While I have the cloth in hand, I also shade in the subtle contrasts in the cloudy sky. I then use my pen-shaped eraser to start defining the edges of each feature. At this stage, I'm basically drawing in reverse. And what I'm looking for are edges. Where does one row of trees start and another end? Where's the water's edge? Where's the tree in the foreground? And so on. We can now start drawing in the forest in the background. As I'm right-handed, I'll start on the left and gradually make my way towards the right. That way I'm working over empty paper so I cannot accidentally smudge the drawing. If you're left-handed, then I recommend working from right to left. The trees at the back are very dark, so I start off with a 6B pencil. I establish the silhouette of the tree line first, as that is the easiest place to start. I then gradually fill up the tree mass using a scribbling motion. I can't just color in the area, despite it being very dark. If we did do that, it would just end up looking flat. So using the scribbling motion adds the texture we need to create the illusion of a mass of trees. As I build up the mass, I also gradually press harder and harder to create the impression of the treetops inside the mass. So if you look carefully at the reference photograph, you will see that I'm loosely using the light and darker areas to guide me where to go darker and lighter on my drawing. I am, however, not being pedantic about it. Nobody's ever going to notice that they are not the same because you won't hang the photo next to the final artwork. I'm now going to do exactly the same procedure for the rest of the forest, and as I move along, I'm concentrating hard on getting the outer silhouette of the trees defined by making sure that there is a contrast between the front and the back trees. I'm also concentrating hard to match the overall tonal value in each area, as it is the tonal values that define the various tree masses. Notice that as I work, I keep my left hand pointing to the area on the reference photo that I'm currently drawing. This helps me not to get lost between the various tree masses, and it also helps me find my place in the drawing quickly. I find that if you don't do this, your proportions and positioning on the drawing gradually become less and less accurate until you find yourself in a world of trouble. You will also notice that when possible, I will keep my reference photo parallel or aligned to the drawing. That way, I only have to look left to right or up and down as opposed to diagonally, and this helps a lot with judging your heights, widths, and positions on the drawing itself. For the water, I'll first lay down a basic impression of the reflections using the graphite dipped cloth. As before, this allows me to roughly plot out the abstract shapes inside the water, as well as the basic positioning of the various tonal values on the water. To draw the reeds along the water's edge, I use a 4B chisel point pencil using short, sharp vertical stabbing motion. To draw the main body of water, I once again use my pen-shaped eraser to lift out the lighter areas. And from there, I alternate between pencil and eraser to create the correct tonal values at the correct places on the surface of the water. Now notice that I'm working using mostly vertical strokes. It's these vertical strokes that make our pencil marks look like reflections as opposed to the genuine item. Then to really sink the reflections into the water, use your pen-shaped eraser to lift out a few horizontal ripples on the water. I'm now pretty close to the tree trunk that is half submerged in the water, so I'll roughly sketch in where I want it to go. I can then continue to lay in the reflections on the lower part of the water. I now use a Q-tip or earbud, as well as my fingers, to smudge the surface of the water. The tonal values in the water should roughly blend into each other, and this makes the reflections appear even more out of focus, which further separates them from the actual trees. For the tree trunk, I roughly scribble in its shape, and then to suggest a bark effect, I scribble along the length, leaving some of the paper exposed. To add even more detail and character to the front of the drawing, I add a few patches of grass and smaller branches as well. For each of these, I also add their reflections into the water. As these reflections are close to us, we won't soften them like we did in the background though. We will, however, erase some horizontal ripples to separate them from the real item. And with that, our landscape is complete. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please like the video and comment below. Also subscribe so we can inform you when we release new tutorials. And if you'd like to follow the draw-along version of this class, then you can visit our website, onlineartlessons.com. We have over 500 draw and paint along classes waiting for you there. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.